Hey guys, this is Dan with Gears and Gadgets. Thanks for tuning in, back with another video a day until this channel hits 100K. Earlier this week, I spent a bunch of time messing with this whole Rabaconda tire changer, really trying to get this whole thing figured out, and it was a mess. But after monkeying with it and kind of figuring it all out, I actually ended up pulling everything back apart and repainting the inside of the wheel because, like an idiot, I was for some reason thinking that the tire was not seating on the bead. It was, and I had a whole bunch of like soap and water inside the rim. And when you get into these spoked wheels, they're not really completely airtight. So you can get water in here. They do start to kind of rust. And that was kind of happening here with this rim. So I took it all apart, painted it up. And now that I sort of know what I'm doing here, I'm going to try to flex and see how fast can I get this thing done. I'm not even gonna worry about wearing gloves or changing out of nice boots. Maybe I'll regret that as this video goes on, but I think I can actually get this thing mounted and ready to rock and roll in pretty quick time here. So let's give it a shot. What I'm gonna do is toss a little bit of tire talc inside of the tire itself. And that's supposed to just help keep the tire from basically chafing on the tube. Gives it just a little bit of basically lubrication with that powder. You don't need too much. I actually probably just put too much in there. Also don't want to really breathe this stuff in too much. Toss it on the ground so it kind of gets all the excess out of there. And do it downwind. And that should be good enough. Try not to have too much in there because that also can hold moisture. I already have some on the rim strip here. So we'll line this up with the valve stem. Let's see if I can get this done in a respectable amount of time here. Hook up to a spoke here. All right, tight on that. We will need some air. All right, pull off our valve stem cover, our little nut here. Now these tires are directional, so the rotor's on that side, which means the tire's going this way. And there's an arrow somewhere in the tread pattern. There it is. So we are pointing the right direction. Got to make sure that valve stem's going this way. And then I did like putting this tube in before I got it up on the wheel. It made it easier to make sure that it wasn't twisted up. Throw a little bit of air in the tire, or in the tube. Should be good. Just get it in there. Try not to breathe in a bunch of this tire talc. Not a whole lot more, but just a little bit. Still want to be able to kind of manipulate that around a little bit in there. Now we'll get our bead grease. See if I can just get this done in like a decent amount of respectable time, because the last few tries were an absolute laughable nightmare of a joke. Throw some bead grease on here. Feeling good about this. This tire actually didn't really sit in the sun all that much either, so got a little bit working against me, but I still feel pretty darn confident with it. Let's get her on here. Valve stem is here. Get our duck head up here, halfway up over. Valve stem is kind of a pain in the ass. Still shouldn't be that big of a deal. Valve stem, and then I'm just gonna put the nut on here just to hold it so it doesn't slip back out. There we go for that. Let's see if we can get this on here. Also just making sure I'm not pinching that tube. And there we go. And now we got to trying to make sure I get that tube kind of as lined up as I can. And now we'll get this up and over the duck bill. I'm actually going to go this side of it. Oh shit. Got to make sure this duck bill stays on the wheel, which it doesn't like to do. Wrestle this guy down. Use these turds to keep it in the drop center. And now run it around. These tools help keep it in the drop center, is what I learned, which I didn't understand before, and that keeps the tire going around in a circle. And we're freaking on. No soap, no water. Man, I was making that so much harder than I had to. I've never both under and overthought something so much. Actually, leave that on for right now. Tighten that down. All right, let's see if we can get some air in this bad boy. And we're just looking for 2 pops. All right, we're gonna fight. That's okay. That's okay. All right, so for this, because I think the bead grease dried up on the back side, undo our strap here. Let's break this bead off. All right, that was actually on there. The other one might have been on there too. Flip you around. Yeah, we weren't on this side. Just get a little more on here. It's what are we? 100 degrees out here right now, so don't have a whole lot of time before the bead grease dries up on me. All right, greased up there. Pull you off. Bead. Bead. All right, get our core back in there, and we have a freaking tire. Amazing how much harder I made that on myself than I had to. It's going back on the bike. There's a little bit of soap left in this water from all of my shenanigans. Our next step is to throw it up on the tire balancer. I didn't even get dirty. Barely broke a sweat. Man, it's amazing how I was doing that so much harder than I had to. Let's put this thing away. We're done with this for a while. I'm going to try to flex and see how fast can I get this thing done. We're done. I made that like a day and a half longer than it had to be. Let's get this thing all balanced up and get this tire back on the bike. What you guys did not see off camera is that this tire was also pretty out of balance. So I ended up breaking the bead again and just rotating the tire on the wheel and trying to get it to balance out a little more naturally before I start going to put like tons of ounces of weights on the wheel. And there we go. But I also want to put these on stand side. There we go. Half ounce of weight there. Key here is just to put it in a bunch of different spots and make sure that it's not having heavy weight settling to any one top or bottom. That seems pretty good to me. Now we're good to mount this bad boy back up on the bike. Grab our speed sensor. We are in. Let's see what torque spec is on that bad boy. I do love my shop manual here. I had this thing printed from some sort of weird online reference and then sent it out for print because it was way cheaper than ordering it from Harley. Front wheel axle, 55 to 79. And then this pinch bolt, they say 11 foot-pounds, 11 to 15. That's virtually nothing. 32. We are all back together. That was a lot of work, but totally worth it. I keep telling myself that. I'm gonna leave it on the stand for tonight, and tomorrow, get this thing off the stand and actually go out for a proper moto vlog, which I feel like it's been forever since I've done that. So thank you guys very much for tuning in. Happy Mother's Day. Here for a video a day till this channel hits 100K. Keep on going, even on Mother's Day. Man, wrestling that front tire, that was an event, but I am super happy that I was able to figure out the Rabaconda, and now I'm super stoked to have it in the garage because I will definitely be doing tire changes in the future. I was way overcomplicating it, and I'm an idiot. So with that said, thank you guys very much for tuning in. If this is your first time tuning in, please hit that subscribe button down below. Remember, likes go a long way to support the channel. I will see you guys next time. I'm going to tend to my chicken. Even the Traeger I can't go without modifying. Added on some weather stripping type stuff. It's actually meant for the Traeger to keep the smoke and heat in, because otherwise it like to blow out the side of the Traeger. 3D printed parts, so that's for the temp gauge holder. This little bad boy up here covers the smokestack to keep rodents out, and then I've got another little 3D printed part that I'll pop on down there also just to keep rodents out. Bought the tray here, which I think this is actually a necessity for Traegers, but it's pretty good. I also use a lot of tin foil to not have to buy their stupid aluminum foil trays, but she's looking good.